I'm Pussy Noir, and I'm the costume director for the Decadence film.
Hi, I'm Curlius, and I am a cast member of Decadence.
Hi, I'm Siren, and I'm a cast member of Decadence.
Hi, I'm Savage, and I'm a cast member of Decadence.
As someone who, has, been fortunate enough to be a part of, productions that had to do with Rocky Horror. It was great doing it through a different lens this time. You know what I mean? It was great to be able to explore the story in a different way, bringing through that fashion, bringing through, that type of aesthetic, that I know that the creators were going for. And so that was great to be a part of. And, listen, we gave everything to it. I gave my body. I fell multiple times for a take, and the next day, did my hip work? Not really, but the shot came out fabulously.
And we're rolling, and action.
Who's going?
You.
Oh, well, shit. Sorry, Rian. Sorry. Should I just go?
Just go.
Okay. Cut. This one was really a learning experience to be able to be a costume designer, be behind the camera for the first time in a very long time, and even more so, really focusing on details that I never had to focus on before. And not just details for one person when I'm usually performing. I can focus on my own costume details, but focusing on the costume details of many people. This also being a fashion film, the costuming is just as important as the production itself. And so all those clothes had to make sense. They had to tell a story. And I think that was the most challenging aspect, is to make sure all these things are telling a story.
I've always been self-aware, and Puss said, you have an art body. And I never forgot about that. So, I was worried about, going out and walking the runway with all these fabulous dancers and, people that actually knew what they were doing. And in, actually taking part of the show, what I learned was I had my own flow, and it made me feel beautiful. I felt extravagant. I had a beautiful neck piece on, and I felt beautiful in my own skin. And I think that's one thing that this show definitely, it definitely embraces is there's different body types, there's different skin colors, and we should all be represented, and we should all be happy in the skin that we're in.
What I liked about being in the film was being able to bring plus-size, queer POC energy. We talk about POC fantasy, living our best lives, but sometimes we leave out the extras. The extra fluffy ones, the awkward ones, the weirder ones, and I was glad to be able to bring the energy in and for it to be a luxurious look. It had class, it had dignity. It wasn't that goofy, oversized poncho look. It was a well-fitted look. It was a gorgeous look. It was a luxurious look. So I like being able to represent a population and represent it well and in a classy way.
So, Puss, what do you think of when you think of it?
And then you gotta get cut, and then I beep, and then you do it again.
So much. Yeah, also, like, the thing is, so the film is called Decadence.
Mm-hmm.
By definition, decadence is the moral and cultural decline indulged in through luxury.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I think about it, especially when coming to thinking about Rocky Horror, thinking about the Transylvanian world and like the house and being in that, and the world is different behind those doors. And so the same rules of morality and social norms do not exist in that world. And so when I think about it, like decadence is not a decline, but in more so it's a sense of order. I mean, like think about like how Frankenfurter holds the room, you know, through showing the ultimate form of decadence and exuding that and embodying that, and everyone trying to get to that level. Almost reminds me of Versailles and Louis XIV. Louis XIV established etiquette not to make the wealthy seem better, but to actually control them. And so to control the decadence, to control the indulgence to a certain degree. So
I like that. The way how I kind of look at decadence, especially with this film, is there are many things for many years that has been looked upon as being, you know, a sign of moral decline or cultural decline. You know, queerness.
bootcut jeans.
Certainly. Queerness definitely a part of that as well. And I think because this film brings that queerness to the front, brings it to the fore, it subverts that. You know, yes, girl, we can be decadent. Yes, we can indulge because that's what we're doing. We're all leaning into a fantasy and feeling that fantasy. And in that way, we're able to indulge in that luxury, but use it as a celebration, you know, use it as a celebration of ourselves, of our bodies, and really flying it in the face of society in a way where it's like, you know, one has been denigrated for this over the years, while you have been pushed down for these specific things, but maybe what we're gonna do, we're gonna be decadent. You know, we're gonna lean into it, feel it, and really just express it in that certain way. So, you know, I think it's one of those ways of just flying in the face of, you know, societal mores.
Exactly.
Which I'm into.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Like, I think in the way that Janet would think about decadence. She is a young girl from, you know, a place where they don't do those things. They don't say those things. They don't act this way. They act a certain way. They have cultural norms and things like that. So when she goes when she goes and she sees a different way of living, it was already inside of her.
Yeah.
All she had to do was just reach out and indulge in it. And she became wrapped up in it. She became swept up in it. And that's like regular life. It's regular life. That's why we have to be more accepting and more open-minded to the things that, you know, the things that maybe they don't think is right for us, but the things that we feel inside. You know, we have to be able to explore those things without being uninhibited in our pursuit of what feels good. What's called hedonism. Hedonism is decadence to me.
Yeah.
Doing what you feel makes you feel good, you know. And Janet Weiss, Brad Majors, and even the professor, he wound up giving into the decadence because they didn't see that, and the Transylvanians and Frankenfurter brought that to life for them, something that they'd never seen but they always felt inside. That's what I think decadence is all about.
Give yourself over to absolute pleasure.
Yes.
And I also feel like they try to use it as a negative where you throw in the whole moral decline. And if you ever notice when there's a change or an evolution of something, we make it sound bad to hold it back.
Yeah.
So to prevent you from embracing and changing, we'll tell you it's bad for you. Morally, it's just no.
That's how I feel about crypto.
So it's that thing of like, I feel like decadence is that moment of saying, it's that breaking the glass ceiling moment of we're here, we're gonna do it, and you're at the point where you're right there. The naysayers see it coming, so they're gonna tell you it's bad for you, it's immoral. But then those on the other side, like, come on, like we're here for you. There's a support system for it. So I feel like again, decadence allows you to, like I said, live that fantasy, jump into it, embrace it, live it, and the decline is in your inhibition more so than your morals. To be honest, it's a decline in giving an F about what people think of you or how they see you. And it's a decline in those factors. But again, the gatekeepers will try to use words like morals and class and you're changing instead of just saying, hey, do you boo, live your best life and keep going.
Well, I always think it's very interesting when people are so strict and they say, well, it's not moral, then what are your morals?
Exactly.
You know, because it's really interesting is that the people who tend to indulge in the idea or the concept or even the lifestyle of something that's considered decadent tend to have better morals than those that restrict and oppress themselves. Because these are the same people that want some kind of freedom or the feeling of freedom or the idea of freedom, yet freedom does not come by multiple forms of oppression. And so when people say that decadence is a decline, I have to say that definition is completely and utterly false. And it's also a definition that, and it's interesting because we're in a time now where we are revisiting and analyzing colonial mentalities. And so I think a word like decadence should also be in this redefinition, because to engage in happiness and to engage in luxury, who is that hurting at the end of the day? Who is that morally hurting at the end of the day? And so I think that, I think that the definition of decadence really needs to be redefined, frankly.
Right.
Well, you're about to say something too.
Yeah, I think that it's morally hurting the people that can't find that within themselves.
And that's,
It's hurting the people that can't do what you do.
Yeah.
And those are the people, and I was thinking this the other day. It's kind of like, you know, it never says not to say the F word in the Bible.
Yeah.
It doesn't say not to say the F word in the Bible.
Because
You know, I love the Lord, but I cuss a little.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I love the Lord, but I cuss.
But
you know?
and that word was not created then. It's so funny because like even then, you know, I don't want to necessarily harp on religion. I actually love all religions. I find them very
I
beautiful.
love me too.
But again, like when people talk about morals, it is very similar to people who treat the Bible as a fundamental rule of life.
Right.
It's like those morals have shifted because that was over 1,000 years ago, also collected over thousands of years. So all those morals in different stories have all shifted.
And those,
And so, well, so, I mean, it's the same thing you're saying. It's just like, so you're only the one that's hurting is you, but you're allowing yourself to be hurt by something that you can easily go do.
Nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
I will say,
No, you go ahead.
I will say one of the things with even, I like the fact that the word decadence was used as the title for this because it speaks to the spirit of the film we're embodying. And it speaks to the energy that I feel like we all felt creating this and putting this out there. There was this thing of just being free, really indulging and making it delicious, you know what I mean? And we really all just went into it with that frame of mind. I mean, I know for many people it's the most open they've been, especially on camera. A lot of people revealed a lot of themselves, you know, right there. And that's also part of that, you know. Hiding things has always been a part of protecting, you know, society or protecting the mores of society. And when you're allowed to break it open and let it free, that's a part of the indulgence, honey. And not everybody, you know, can really get into that.
And you know, you just said something to me about the idea of protecting society. And I really wish people would realize that the best way to protect society is to equip society with the tools they need to deal with life. Not by suppressing their vision or suppressing their experience from what is happening, but actually equipping people with the tools so that they can feel and be protected. But it's interesting, again, like going back to the film also has that sense about protection, that behind the doors, you know, behind the mansion doors, it's like, there is a sense of protection.
Yeah,
those people
safe
aren't
place.
in danger.
There is a safe place.
Yeah,
Like consent.
Yeah, it's like in a weird way, they're not necessarily in danger. Yes, Frankenfurter has her issues and like, you know, she has certain beef with certain people, but like, you know, we're all humans. We're all humans, even if we're aliens. But I think that I really love, I mean, like, I think Rocky Horror for so many people does so much, you know, and it really reminds people to really be themselves and to stretch themselves. And for us to take that and be inspired by that and do our own project, our own film with it, that came out to be this great, fabulous work of decadence, I think really says a lot. And it also helps redefine what we think of as immoral
Mhm.
and too much and unsafe.
I mean, for me, it made me the phrase audacity.
Mhm.
Because like for me recently, when I got places, it's the audacity, and it's the look on people's faces when you have the audacity.
Yeah.
Because the idea was only certain people have the audacity to act a certain way.
Yeah.
If you only certain people look at you a certain way, do certain things, that's certain people did. But when you own it and you walk out in public and be like, I have the audacity to be my authentic self, own it, flaunt it, get with it or don't, but either way, I have the audacity to do it.
But then,
Both in the safe space behind those doors or in the general public, as safe as you can possibly do it. But again, it's having the audacity to just do it. Because even the Rocky Horror movie itself, the audacity to do a movie of that caliber like that had to take some of a gumption and to say, hey, we're doing a film like this and you're gonna like it or not, but either way, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always find it so interesting that people have the audacity to wear ugly clothes more than anything. But not even just ugly clothes, but because Rocky Horror is all about not being the norm, right? We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting that people love to conform. That, to me, is oppression. If we want to talk about decadence being oppression and being immoral, that to me is then decadence. You know what I mean? Because you thought that it is okay for you to disappear into the crowd, for you not to be counted, for your voice not to be heard, for you to feel unsafe, and the only way you can feel safe is by one voice telling you when to feel safe. That to me is immoral.